Bismillah. Now we will start Model 4A, Vocabulary and Grammar, the second part, page 57. Before, we discussed another grammar in this module, which is future tense. Now, or today, we discuss something else, another grammatical point. Today, we'll discuss what? Conditional sentences, type 1 and 2. We will study first some confused words and then go to study the conditional sentences, type 1 and 2 with if clause, of course. Okay, vocabulary, word easily confused. Okay, we have some words look similar to each other. Let's look to the meaning of the sentence and choose the suitable one. The sentence or the first sentence is Peter stood and watched the smoke. What? Raise or rise from the burning building? Raise or rise? What's the difference? Okay, what do you think? Okay, let's look to the meaning or the suitable one. Rise, yeah, to the smoke, rise. Goes high, okay, goes high, up to the air. Okay, so from the burning building, so rise. Go to higher position, okay, so rise. But when I say the teacher asked her student what? Their hands. Before they ask a question, the teacher asked her student to what? Raise their hands, usually to move or to lift something or parts of the body or anything to high position, okay? Like when I say raise your hand, raise your voice, make it clear, okay? Make it louder. So this is the meaning. So raise your hand. This is the suitable one. Number 3, I have told you before not to me when I am talking. When I am talking. What do you think? Disturb or interrupt? Okay? Yes, interrupt me. Okay? Try not to cut me whenever I talk. Stop me talking, whether by saying something or by doing something. So let me complete, don't stop me, okay? Number 4, please turn the radio down. In this way, you will disturb your brother, okay? Disturb your brother, okay? Stop him from studying, okay? Doesn't make him concentrate or focus. Make him stop doing something. Okay, so disturb brother. Your brother, he's studying for exam. Saudi Arabia is one of the world's leading oil or petrol. Of course, oil production, the different parts that come from oil, from crude oil, from natural oil, okay? Remind me to stop at the first we find. At the first petrol station we find, okay, we want fuel for the car, so petrol, I will use petrol for the car, fuel. The lion, number 7, lay down and sunned itself in the what? Hot or warm? Sunshine. Of course, it's not hot, it's warm in the middle, okay? Not hot and not cold, warm, okay? Number 8, the food was too hot to eat, so we left it to cool down. It's too hot, I can't eat it now. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep on trying until you succeed. Usually we say that. Don't never give up. Try to do something. Don't stop doing that, okay? you should have hope. Okay, this is the meaning of give up. Like when I say, I gave you 10 minutes to answer this question. Okay, and then you say, I gave up. I stopped trying. Okay, so this is the meaning. Another word, finally, the teacher gave in to the student request to go on an excursion. Okay, what's the meaning of gave in? Okay, after trying too much, the student asked the teacher too much, many times, insist. So he gave in at the end to the student request. He admitted to do something, he refused first to do it. Okay, so this is the meaning. He admitted doing something, he didn't want to do it first. Like when I say, my daughter, okay, insists on buying something, and at the end I gave in and I bought it to her. Okay, finally I gave in and really I bought it to her. Okay, so I admitted to do that. In the beginning I refused. After that I gave in to her request. This is the difference. Okay, now let's go to the grammar, to the second part, conditional sentence type 1 and 2. A, look at the extract from the dialogue and answer the questions that follow. Here we have some sentences with if. Let's just try to understand it. If the temperature keeps rising, present, okay, keeps rising, the polar ice caps will meet, future with will, okay? Does the sentence refer to the past or future? Of course, the future. Does he think that he is likely to happen? What? Of course, yes, he does. So if the temperature keeps rising, this is what will happen. The polar ice caps will melt. Okay? So likely to happen. Number 2, if you weren't here past, so negative, you would, and I use would, not will, the past from will, you would be able to see all the advantages of global warming. According to Josh, is Ben negative? Of course, yes. Does he see the advantages? Josh thinks Ben is negative and that he can't see the advantages of global warming. Does the sentence refer to the present or the past? Here. To present, not because I'm using the past, weren't, would. No, it refers to the present, okay? But it's something, okay, difficult to happen. Okay, so what does that mean? This is sentences or type 1 and type 2. This is what you call it, type 1, type 2. Let's study it as form, okay, as a model. It's like conditional sentence type 1. Express what? The first one, the first type, something which is possible to happen, normal, possible to happen in the present or future, something normal and possible. Okay, here I'm going to use what? If plus which tense? Present simple. Present simple, whether with, if it's singular with S, if it's plural without. So if plus the present simple, the other part, the main part, or the other part will be with will, not would, okay? Can, must, the modal verb, may, might, or should. These modal verbs, okay? Will, can, must, may, might, or should, plus base form, infinitive. This is one way. Or I can use imperative. What I mean with imperative? Order. Do something. If you go to the market, bring some chocolate. This is order, imperative, okay? So this is for something possible. If you go, okay, to the supermarket, bring some or buy me some chocolate, okay? The other kind, or type 2, express something imaginary, unreal, unlikely to happen in present or future, difficult to happen, or impossible. Here I'm going to use past. If plus past simple, the second form. Okay? Then what can I use? Will or would? Of course, would. Yes, past, so would. Present, will. Okay? And of course, could. Would or could, the possibility. And then the base form. Here, type 1 and type 2. So that means I have 2 cases, okay? Let's make in general. What do you know about conditional sentences? Do you know before, in the last year, we studied zero conditional. What I mean with zero? We have 3 kinds, in fact, 0, and then type 1 and type 2. Then 3 kinds today. 0, I mean with it, if plus when, or one of them, sorry, if or when. If you want to use if or if you want to use when, it's the same. Then present simple, okay? But the main clause will be in present simple also. So if present, you are going to use what? If present. That's why we call it 0. Okay? Present. 0 conditional used to talk about what? General truth. General truth. Like when I say girls or students, if you heat ice, what will happen? It melts. So this is general truth. Or when you heat ice, it melts. So if present. This is 0 for general truth. But number 2, we call it conditional sentence type 1. This is used for something that's proper or possible to happen, whether it's present or whether it's in the future, for something normal could happen, okay? Like I say, if I see James, I can see him. If I see James, I will give him his book back. Here I'm going to use what? If, clause, and then future will, or any of the modal verb. Future will with the present, or modal verb like can, may, might, must, should, plus base form. This is one way. Another way, you can use imperative. If you go to the supermarket, if and present, the other part is what? Buy some milk. Imperative or order, okay? Buy some milk. So I can use one of these 2 ways with type 1. If I talk about something normal, may happen, could happen, in the present or in the future, I'm going to use what? Type 1. If present simple, then will, or can, or could, or imperative. This is number 2. Let's go to the 3rd kind, conditional sentence type 2, we call him, but it is the 3rd kind, okay? So type 2, it's used for a real or imaginary situation when are not probable in the present or future. Like when I say something difficult to happen, okay? Like when I say, if I had money, I just imagine, I'm not talking about the past, I imagine something difficult to happen. If I had enough money, I would buy, look to the past, would, not will. I would buy a farm in the country. I just imagine. This is not the truth. You could lose some weight if you went on a diet, okay? If you went on a diet. This is not the past. This sentence didn't happen really, but we imagine it's something difficult to happen or didn't happen, okay? But just I imagine what will happen, okay? Here I'm going to use what? If clause. In the past, as you can see, had, okay? And went, this is the past. In the main clause, would, could, okay? And base form. As you can see in the first sentence, would. So I imagine what will happen. And in the second sentence, I use could. Also, what will happen. Okay, I imagine what will happen if I do that. So these are the 3rd kinds of if. Note, in a conditional sentence type 2, okay, Type 2 I means when you talk about something unreal or imaginary or impossible or difficult to happen. I'm going to use what? Important thing here, where. Where is often used more than was in if clause, even if it's singular. Even if you talk about singular. If I were, not was. If I were rich, because just I imagine. If I were rich, what can I do? I would live in a lecturer's house, okay? So this didn't happen really, just I imagine, and this thing's difficult to happen. So I use the past, and I use were, not was. Why? Because it's in number 2, or type 2. Usually I use were instead of was. Another sentence. If I were Shakespeare, I just imagine. I would use an easy English, not difficult. So because it's difficult to happen, not real, I'm going to use if and past. The past here were and not was, and in the other part would or could, okay, in the past. Then this is type 2, okay? We use if I were, usually we use this expression. If I were you, usually you may hear it. Why we use it? To express or to give advice, to give our opinion of something. Like when I say, if I were you, I would study more and more. Okay? Of course, I imagine what will happen. So I give you just as advice, my opinion. So you should study more. You should study more. If I were you, I would study more. Unless, what's unless? Unless can be used instead of if not. So unless means if not. Equal to if not in conditional sentence. I will not buy this car. I will not buy this car unless you agree. If you don't agree. So unless means if not. If you don't agree. Okay, now let's go to practice and do or try to look, imagine what would be the answer. Paul, hi Jack, what are you up to? Jack, I'm just doing some research about climate change. Did you know that if the planet, what? Type 1 or type 2? Of course, it will be continuous type 1 to go warmer because this is something normal, maybe happen. Okay? Continuous, the present. The polar ice caps will, as you can see, will melt. I guess that's obvious. After all, if you, what here? Heat ice, it melts. This is number 1, general truth. If you heat ice, it melts. General truth, doesn't it change? So if present here. Jack, I bet you don't know what causes climate change, Paul. I know that burning fossil fuels increases the planet's what? Temperature. Jack, that's right. And if we not use alternative sources of energy, if we don't use, we have here negative, if we don't use an alternative source of energy more, we what? Destroy the planet. We will destroy the planet. So this is type 1. Type 1, okay? Because this is what will happen. This may be happen, okay? If people about the environment more, that they would find ways to make things better. And this didn't happen. We imagine, okay? And this is something or difficult, okay? Until now, they didn't know about that. If people really start doing that, thought about the environment, they would find ways to make things better to the environment, okay? Let's complete the second part. Bob, hi Michael, I like your new car. Thanks, but it's not actually mine. I'm taking part in an experiment. This car runs on electricity rather than petrol, so it doesn't cause pollution. Scientists ask a number of volunteers to try the cars out for a month. That's interesting. Yes, there are some advantages. So now let's look to if the battery runs out, then the car stops. So maybe general truth, or will stop, and this is what happens usually. That's bit risky. Imagine what would happen if the car stopped in the past, suddenly in the middle of the road. Okay, in the middle of the road, what will happen? It doesn't work like that. The car gives a warning signal, so you have time to go and recharge the battery. If this experiment, you have if. So determine which one? Okay, if the experiment is, so be here will be in a present, is singular. Okay, these cars will be on the market in a few years. Okay, so this is the first kind, which is number 1. Okay, so choose the correct answer. Now look to this sentence, try to determine if it is for type 1 or type 2 or 0, because we have 3 kinds. Okay, 0 and 0, what we are going to use? If present, present. If present, present. Okay, like when we say, if you heat ice, it melts. General truth. Type 1, when I say if, present, will or can or imperative. Like when I say, if you study well, you will pass. This is normal thing. Or when I say, if you go to the supermarket, bring me some chocolate. Okay, so this is something normal. I can use whether will or whether imperative. And the last kind is what? If, and the past for something difficult to happen. Okay, we are going to use what? If, past, and then would or could. So let's now determine what will be the answer. Okay, if, you have if, and then I wear. This is the past. Okay, but it refers to the present. Okay, but I imagine something difficult. If I were, or impossible to happen, if I were the car, what do you think? The museum is too far to go on foot. It will be will take, would take, or take. Present, or will take, or C, would take in the past. Of course, C, would take the past, because you talk about something imaginary. Where, if I were you, I would take the past, okay? But in number 2, if our favorite team wins the match, Dad us out the dinner. Here you have if and wins, and maybe he wins, something normal, okay? So I'm going to use what? Wins. If and the present, I'm going to use be, will, take. This is type 1, will, take. If present and will. So this is type 2 and number 2 from type 1. So in general, this is what did we study today? The grammar and the if clause. Thanks a lot.